Meeting to order. And this is a special meeting of the City Commission, September 24th, 2020. This is our second and final meeting to vote on a variety of ordinances and resolutions pertaining to the city's annual fiscal year budget. This would cover the period from October 1st to September 30th, 20 through 21. We are, for members of the public, we are just working on getting our phone system operational for public comment. And so we're not going to start the meeting until we have confirmation that that's ready. And so once we're there, we'll adopt the agenda and then get going.
This is a sound check for the public comment line. We want to see if either Willie or Bethany can give us a sound check over the line.
Test.
Okay, we've got it. Great, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you all for getting that worked out so quickly. All right, so would anybody like to make a motion to adopt our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
That was Commissioner Ariola who made the second.
You there, Lauren?
He is lagging.
He might be frozen.
It doesn't look well.
It's just a frozen screen, y'all. It happens to all of us on the internet. That's why I try to smile when I'm on camera. I'll go ahead and finish the vote if you don't mind until he comes back, just to get things moving. He seems to have lagged out. Okay, we have a motion and a second for the agenda. Can we please get the vote?
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons is absent. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Jesus Santos?
Aye.
Commissioner Sacco?
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola?
Aye.
And Mayor Poe, temporarily absent.
All right, that motion passes with 2 members absent. Okay, our first order of business is going to be our ordinance for, well, I'll let the clerk read that into the roll, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, our first item will be ordinances on second reading. Ordinance number 200129, Appendix A, Schedule of Fees, Rates, and Charges for Utilities Amendment, Water and Sewage, an ordinance of the City of Gainesville, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances relating to utilities by amending Appendix A, Schedule of Fees, Rates, and Charges to revise fees, rates, and charges for water and sewage, providing directions to the codifier, providing a severability clause, providing a repealing clause, and providing an effective date.
Okay, we are on second reading. We received our presentation from GRU and the first reading, so we will go ahead and just entertain a vote to pass these rates.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm checking with, I do believe we have comment on this. I don't know if you're accepting it, but I believe we have a comment.
We will be taking public comment. I'm just looking to the commission for a motion on the floor, and then we will take public comment. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Commissioner Jesus Santos.
I move ordinance 200129.
Motion from Commissioner Jesus Santos.
Reading by title only.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, Larry, we will move members of the public who wish to speak on this ordinance.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I believe our only speaker on this item is Nathan Scopp. And Nathan, you've got the floor for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Larry. Good afternoon, mayors, commissioners. Nathan Scopp. So with respect to this particular item, it's interesting how lofty the commission is in terms of just rubber stamping. And, we'll just move to a vote. You should be taking public comment and have an interest in what the public has to say. So with respect to this item, I'm not in favor of the adoption. simply because this commission should, if it supports water conservation efforts, adopt a 3-tier inverted block rate structure. Particularly your tier 2 that is under what is being approved basically goes up to excessive number of K-gallons per month within that tier 2 band. It doesn't promote water conservation, and also you lose out on revenue to send an appropriate price signal to encourage water conservation. So for those of you that claim that you're actually doing something for the environment and social justice warriors and such, you guys should really take a look at this, because Florida Public Service Commission adopts far more aggressive water conservation goals and tier rate block structures than what GRU has proposed. This continues to be brought up year after year. Notwithstanding your revenue deficit, you're leaving money on the table, but you're doing absolutely nothing to embrace water conservation within our aquifer. So I would encourage this commission to take a look at tier 2 and appropriately bring that tier down to something more appropriate, up to perhaps 12,000 gallons rather than what it's currently at, to send the appropriate signal to conserve water. And then that way, if those consumers that use more water in tier 3, then they pay appropriately more. But that's what this commission should be encouraging, and it seemingly is not. It's giving away water, notwithstanding the water issues and the aquifer issues that we have. So I'd encourage the commission again, take a look at this, but you guys can't be concerned with realistic common sense items because you're too busy trying to look at other things and lecturing people about privilege and the like. But nevertheless, it is a valid concern, and I would ask the commission to address it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, we did have one other caller join us.
And I'm back, Larry.
Oh, okay. Very good, Mayor. We had a caller join us in the middle of Mr. Scott's comments, Debbie Martinez. Debbie, are you wanting to speak on the item on the floor?
Yes, please.
Great. You have 3 minutes.
May
Go
I
ahead.
go ahead?
Yes.
Thank you. Like many Gainesville residents, I am shocked GRU will not be cutting electric rates this year despite record low fuel prices for the units that generate most of GRU's electricity. The municipal utility closest in size to GRU, Lakeland Electric, has slashed its electric rates. Now, a residential electric customer in Gainesville pays 34% more for 1,000 kilowatts of electricity than Lakeland Electric. And also, as you know, Mr. Poe, but as you won't tell the public, GRU residential electric customers now pay 61% more for 1,000 kilowatts of electricity than Tampa Electric customers. You have the gall, Mr. Poe, to maintain these astronomical rates in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, even though the city is receiving $23 million in federal money, and even though property tax revenues are soaring. I plan to tell the people that are watching tonight, as you will not, that you are not cutting their property tax rates despite millions of dollars more coming under your control as a result of new construction. Even worse, as municipal governments across Florida plan to cut rates and spending, you plan on raising rates again after October. You have ruined our city in more than a dozen years since you were first elected to this city commission, and you blame it on us. This never needed to happen. And also, Mr. Poe, I remember back in 2009 when you served as District 2 City Commissioner, when you voted to approve the multi-billion-dollar biomass tree burner debacle, the worst utility contract in the country that caused GRU rates to skyrocket. I remember that you lost your District 2 re-election, coming back as an at-large commissioner, spending years bragging about the GRU biomass financial disaster that you helped to create, while thousands of poor people were getting their power shut off. And after that, I remember you and former GRU General Manager Bob Hunzinger, your golfing buddy, who ended up leaving in disgrace, that when Mr. Bilarski replaced Mr. Hunzinger and outlined the problems with the biomass tree burner financial disaster and began working to fix it, you and your cohorts on the commission talked about getting rid of him. Shortly after that, Mr. Bilarski pulled a 180 and began a Facebook campaign praising you, Mr. Poe, and your cohorts for bringing this financial disaster upon us. So I say cut the
Mayor,
rates,
that's 3
do
minutes.
not raise them. Thank you.
And Mayor, those are all the callers on this item.
And my internet dropped out for a second, but is the motion on the floor? Was there another motion, or is the motion still to adopt the agenda?
No, we adopted the agenda, Mr. Mayor. We've moved on to the first item on the agenda, and there is a motion on the floor. I conducted the vote.
Okay, so we are on the schedule of rates, charges, and utility amendment.
Correct. We've got a motion from Hayes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I was I was confused with the public comment there. I thought we were still adopting the agenda. Okay, Larry, is there anybody else to speak to this item?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm not going to respond to some of those ad hominem attacks. They're quite tired and old and have been refuted many times before. But I do believe there was some erroneous information and false information presented, as, for example, GRU's electric bills being 61% higher than some other utilities. So I would like Mr. Bilarski to jump in. I will just say before he comments that any utility that's cutting fuel charges is doing so because that's how all utilities operate. Fuel is a complete pass-through. It's not a discretionary thing that you either choose to raise or lower. If fuel costs go down, the fuel charge goes down. If fuel costs go up, the fuel charge goes up. We have significantly lowered the fuel charges a couple times over the past fiscal year, just like other utilities. And so to indicate that one utility did that and then leave out the fact that we also did that at GRU is disingenuous. So with that, Mr. Bilarski, can you reply to some of those comments that you just heard?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Actually, you did it very well. Early in the year when we were seeing the drop in natural gas prices, we took action in February, I think it was March, and then April, in successive months, and we reduced our fuel adjustment down to the 3 cents per kW. So we've already taken that into account, and it was, pretty dramatic decrease. So you're exactly right. Our rates actually have went down when you consider the fuel adjustment to be a rate. Our base rates, on the other hand, have stayed the same. So overall, the rate you pay per kilowatt is going down if you're a GRU customer with a combination of this budget and the actions we've taken previously. So, yes.
Thank you. And, we have been very prudent in trying to continue that trend by one, converting our coal plant to be able to operate on natural gas, which will both reduce our carbon emissions and reduce cost to customers. We have gotten very close to implementing the solar PPA, which will be rate neutral to customers. Increase our renewable energy portfolio and reduce our carbon footprint. And so despite all of these pressures, we are continuing to work towards our goal of 100% renewable energy while having a net positive impact on what people are paying for their bill. And to say anything otherwise is just simply contrary to the facts before us. So with that, I apologize, I did not have my panelist pane open. Okay, yes, Commissioner Simmons, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to know what was the motion.
To adopt the ordinance on second reading.
To approve ordinance 2009 on second reading by title only. that'd be the first item on your agenda, Commissioner. Are you good, Commissioner Simmons? That's all you want to know? Okay. All right, so let's, with that, move to a vote, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayes Santos,
Aye.
Commissioner Sacco,
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
and Mayor Poe.
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
The next item is Resolution 200354, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Gainesville, Florida, relating to the budget for the City of Gainesville, DBA Gainesville Regional Utilities for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, projecting revenues and adopting a budget to pay for personnel expenses, operating and maintenance expenses, and other expenses for capital outlay and for debt service requirements, and providing an immediate effective date.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions from the commission, or is there a motion? Are there any questions from the commission, or is there a motion?
So move.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Seconded by Commissioner Ward. I'm gonna have to start giving out incentives, little chocolates or something. So there's a motion by Commissioner Simmons, second by Ward, to adopt Resolution 200354, Gainesville Regional Utilities Budget for fiscal year 21. Turning it over for public comment.
Mayor, we have Nathan Scott on this item, and Nathan should be audible. Unfortunately, we seem to be having an audio issue, so we're going to ask Nathan to stand by for 1 second, and we'll be right back.
Mr. Scott, I think you are good to go. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Nathan Scott. So with respect to the GRU budget, I'd like to add that I'm not in support of the budget. I think it is fiscally irresponsible for this commission to not make substantial reductions to the general fund transfer obligation that is driving GRU rates and putting GRU in financial distress, as well as its ratepayers. You're quick to admonish citizens and who don't get to respond to the comments, Mayor Poe, but I'll challenge you to this. It is fact that GRU residential and commercial electric rates are some of the highest, if not the highest, in the state of Florida. And if you, like you did on the last agenda item, which was water and wastewater, want to get Mr. Pilarski on the phone and ask him straight up whether GRU commercial electric rates are not some of the highest in the state, despite the financial hardship that many small businesses and other businesses are in. I'm happy to entertain you having that discussion, but I don't think you're going to want to go there because you're not going to like the response from Mr. Pilarski. Because the fact of the matter is commercial electric rates are the highest, if not the highest, in the state of Florida. Residential rates also stand to be lowered, but this city commission refuses to show any ounce of fiscal discipline. Just earlier today, you had another discussion about expanding city government. You don't know how you're going to pay for it. The general fund transfer is already excessive, which again drives our rates. If you want to do something constructive to provide rate relief to hardworking Gainesville families, you should focus on lowering our electric rates. I mean, FPL's rates are substantially lower across the board than GRU's. As a result of many things, Mayor Poe, that you approved, that this commission has approved, feed-in tariff, as Mr. Pilarski has alluded to, terrible biomass contract, which this commission approved and defended. You know, we can go back, but to sit there and rewrite history and try and cast aspersions on citizens that are concerned about the excessive amount that they have to pay for their GRU electric and utility rates is just a non-starter. It's just a diversion. It pivots away from the reality of the fact that the City Commission does not give adequate time to addressing the fiscal issues, to cutting its spending. It refuses to make any meaningful reductions to spending on the city government side, but continues to force GRU to try and cut its budget year after year after year. Yes, fuel went down a little bit. I fully suspect that we'll see financial pressures on GRU, which after the charade, you'll see fuel go up or base rates go up or some other excuse will go up due to COVID. But nevertheless, the bottom line here is this City Commission is not serious about reducing our electric rates, not serious about adopting a conservation rate structure. And it's unfortunate
Mr. Scott,
because
that's
you know,
about 3
you wanna
minutes.
invoke the renter's rights. But it's not about 3 minutes because that was cut off. So again, you want to invoke this renter's rights ordinance, but if you want to focus on providing rent relief, lower electric rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Next up, we have Ms. Debbie Martinez.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yep, 3 minutes.
Okay. I'll be brief. I won't take 3 minutes. But I can tell you, I've been canvassing neighborhoods in the city of Gainesville for over 10 years. And before you came on the city commission, Mr. Poe, in 2009, and voted for this biomass, multi-billion-dollar biomass plant, the forest burning incinerator, as citizens call it, the poor people and the working, hardworking families, the working poor, they were able to use their air conditioning. But now, since the electric rates have skyrocketed and all the fees and costs and everything else you've had to throw on to the utility bill to keep it going, they can't afford to turn their air conditioning on anymore. They're living in mold-infested homes because of your failed policy, your failed leadership. And that's the truth. You can say, oh boy, look, we're saving the world from global warming. We've got the greatest renewable energy in the world. Well, that's not how the citizens who can't turn their air conditioning, the poor people, think about it. They're not sitting there saying, oh boy, I want to go after the landlords. They want to go after GRU, which means you're the ones that have, you're the one that manages GRU that gets us into these bad contracts. That was the worst utility contract in the country. And you want to brag about it. Well, people are hurting, and you can keep bragging, but that's why they don't trust you. But you just keep on bragging that they're not happy with how you have run our utility. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Mr. Mayor, I think that's all the calls we have in this section.
Okay, very good, Adam. Thank you. And with that, we will go ahead and move to a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Jesus,
No.
Commissioner Sacco,
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Poe.
Aye, that motion passes 6-1 with Jesus Santos in dissent. Next item, please.
The next item is Resolution 200315, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Gainesville, Florida, relating to the levy of general municipal purpose ad valorem taxes for the 2020-2021 fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, adopting the final millage rate, directing the transmittal of certified copies, authorizing a specified adjustment to the final millage rate, and providing an immediate effective date.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Jesus Santos, before I go to you, Ms. Fiore, is this, are you required by law to go through the sort of thing that you go through? I don't know if that's the sort of one-page.
Yes, we have to.
Yes, Ms. Shalley says yes. I thought so. So we'll recognize Ms. Fiore, or Mr. Feldman, if you wanted to say anything.
I was going to recognize Ms. Fiore, but yes, we do have to go through this.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor. Karen Fiore, Budget Manager. I have just a few slides to review today. The agenda, I have 3 items. I would like to, we're asking for the adoption of the millage rate by resolution, the adoption of the final FY21 general financial and operating plan by resolution, and then we would like you to adopt our new proposed general fund reserve policy. Before I go over these next few slides, Mayor, millage, then budget, and would you like me to pause to allow any comment and vote on those 2 items before I talk about fund reserve, or do you want me to just go through the entire presentation?
Yeah, let's keep the general fund reserve policy discussion separate, because that's different than our statutory requirements to adopt. So let's just keep that clean.
Wonderful, thank you. This is a slide that I'm actually required to read to you. So the naming of our taxing authority is the City of Gainesville. Our current year rollback rate is 5.0237. Our current year final millage rate is 5.2974. This is a percent increase over the rollback rate of 5.45%. Our fiscal year 21 final general financial and operating plan budget consists of revenues of $137,821,522, expenditures totaling $137,800,633, which leaves us at a small surplus of $20,889. And I'll stop here for the adoption of those 2 items.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Fiore. So the recommendation, both from staff and from the City Commission in previous meetings, is to adopt a millage rate that is the same as it was last year, and that will produce a balanced budget, which will actually be the next item on our agenda when we adopt the final operating plan. Ms. Fiore, you can take your screen down if you don't mind. Thank you. And I'll turn to Commissioner Hayes Santos.
Move resolution 200315.
Okay, seconded by Ward. Motion by Hayes Santos. With that, I will turn to Will or Larry, whoever is conducting public comment. Or Adam, I'm sorry.
That would be me, sir. And we do have 1 comment. Mr. Nathan Scott, you are on the line. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Adam. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Nathan Scott. So I'd like to know, for the benefit of the public and the taxpayers of the City of Gainesville and GRU customers, why Mayor Poe and the Gainesville City Commission are unwilling to lower our millage rates like the Alachua County Commission has done. The Alachua County Commission has shown fiscal responsibility by adopting rollback rate, where the Gainesville City Commission has not, I want to repeat, not adopted the rollback rate, and is recognizing a 5.45% increase in property tax revenue as a result of doing that. Because of your refusal to roll back to the millage rate, you're generating more tax revenue because you refuse to live within your means and cut your budget and your spending. And I mean, that's unfortunate to the taxpayers, because it's pretty obvious that the Alachua County Commission has shown at least some fiscal responsibility that the Gainesville City Commission and you, Mayor Poe, are not willing to share. And that's, very disturbing, because again, you refuse to cut your fiscally irresponsible, wasteful spending, placing additional financial hardships on hardworking Gainesville families in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Alachua County issued a press release. They discussed why they adopted the rollback rate and the benefit to the citizens of Alachua County. But it's unfortunate that you, Mayor Poe, under your failed leadership and that of the Gainesville City Commission, can't keep your fiscal house in order, continue to expand city government and expand your spending and won't cut a dime. Yet you continue to force GRU to make cuts. You continue to force GRU to provide excessive general fund transfer to the detriment of the utility and its customers. And then you increase your city government spending on top of that. And not to mention the high GRU electric rates that we're all forced to pay as a result of, again, this excessive general fund transfer. So I'd really like to know from you, Mayor Poe, and again, you lead the city and the city commissioners here who are so nonchalant about this rubber stamping this, why you don't see willing to lower our millage rate like the Alachua County Commission. I think that's a fair question that deserves a fair answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. Mr. Scott, we do have one more caller, Debbie Martinez. Your 3 minutes begin right now.
Yes, thank you so much. Mr. Poe, you're lying about Lakeland electric rates and Tampa electric rates. I will send all the city commissioners the latest FMEA report that states that I was correct and you were lying about that. And you just have to
Martinez, we're on to the millage rate now. We're off to your.
I know what you're on to. You don't have to tell me what you're on. So go ahead and cut your spending so you don't have to keep raising the general fund transfer. Then the electric rates won't be so high and people can turn on their air conditionings and they don't have to live in mold-infested homes that you brought them. Shame on you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Mr. Mayor, that is the last speaker on this issue. The floor is yours again.
Sure. So thank you. I've heard my colleagues called a lot of things. Nonchalant has never been one of them. I think all of you are very chalant most of the time. So I think that it's a fair question. Why are we maintaining our millage rate while the county's lowering theirs? And that is because we are investing in our community. The county commission defunded Grace Marketplace to the $500,000. The city commission picked that up. We could keep the services at Grace Marketplace going. All of these things are investments in our community and are an important part of what we are trying to do during the midst of this COVID crisis. The county also received $52 million in CARES funding from the federal government. The city got about 2.4 million of that. And so the county has done some great work, is continuing to do great work. I'm very excited about the partnership that we're working on at the county with the Central Receiving Facility. They are doing some great things with land conservation. And this is certainly nothing against the county, but the city has taken a position that some of these services that would have otherwise been either severely harmed or gone away in the absence of that funding, we have stepped in to pick it up. And we certainly have not gotten the sort of federal support from CARES since most of the money going to city we're only 500,000 in population. So we've got a little bit different type of fiscal distress and constraint. And in order to serve our residents, our neighbors, we have decided that investing in those programs and those services is important. And that's why we have not raised the millage rate, but have kept it right where it was so we could fund those programs. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, we do have one more caller, a late entry. She has not given, or he has not given her name. Hold on 1 second, please. Caller, you're on the air.
I'm on the air now?
Yes.
Yes. I would like to comment that there have been several votes today where they haven't been unanimous, and Mr. Ariola, I think, and a couple that I heard, has dissented. I think any commissioner who is going to vote no really has a duty to, his colleagues and to the public to talk about it and maybe show that if what the reasoning is, and perhaps other people might change their mind, but I think it benefits the commission and the public to not just vote, but to, give a little bit of a reason or try to convince the other commissioners that perhaps the vote they're about to take is not the wisest one. So I ask you to advocate for your position, please. Thank you. This is Joe Beatty. I'm sorry. You guys got me rattled. Bye.
Thanks, Ms. Beatty.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a fine request. We have been discussing these budget issues for more than 6 months now. And so I think most folks have been following this, and certainly the commissioners, why the various commissioners either support or don't support these particular resolutions. So but I would encourage Ms. Beatty to follow up with any commissioner that votes in the dissent to find out why, if she so desires. Commissioner Hayes.
Yeah, I'll answer Ms. Beatty's question. I voted no on the GRU budget. I've said every other time it's come before us because I don't believe we've done the revenue projections correctly with everything going on. I don't think we're going to have I'm worried about where our budget's going to be. That's why I've voted against it every time. I don't think we've projected how we should have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
Vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Sacco?
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons?
Aye.
Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayes Santos?
Aye.
Mayor Poe?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. Next item, please.
Next item is Resolution 200316, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Gainesville, Florida, relating to its general government budget for the 2020-2021 fiscal year, beginning October 1st, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2021, adopting the final general government financial and operating plan budget and providing an immediate effective date.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 200316 by title only. Did I get that right?
Resolutions, you don't have to do that funny business at the end. Just ordinances. Who is the second? We'll say Hayes Santos, moved by Commissioner Sacco, seconded by Hayes Santos. And we'll turn it back over to Adam for public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have at least 2 callers. We may have a third. Rosa Williams, you are up in just a second. You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am Rosa B. Williams, and I am the chairperson of Black on Black Crime Task Force. And I have a concern. I sure hope y'all do not cut the police budget. We have more crime in the Gainesville area now than we've had in 5 or 6 years. We had more crime in this year than we have ever had, and we need the police. We have people killing each other. We have people shooting in people's houses. We have people shooting at people. And also people scared to go to the mailbox. Some of them cannot, seniors can't sit in their front yard or go to the bus stop. I was on my way to a meeting one day, and a lady had just called the police because about 5 or 6 teenage girls on one side of the road and boys on the other side of the road. Her daughter, 7 years old, had told her sister she's going to tell her mama. They jumped on that 7 years old girl, her face all swollen up. Things like that is why we need the Gainesville Police Department. And I don't know all this, because we have a lot of talk about Black Lives Matter. with black on black crime banners also. We have no white here, anyone here in Gainesville in a long time. All the killing, all the breaking in, all the shooting in houses has been done by blacks. And I would hope that all these people who are talking about that will go down in some of these communities, there's about 8 or 9 of them, and talk to some of these young people about Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next, we have Nathan Scott, followed by Brian O'Brien. Mr. Scott, you're up.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Nathan Scott. So I do want to thank Ms. Williams for calling in. I mean, I think she expresses a very valid point. This commission should prioritize public safety. We have a lot of shootings, bullets flying all over the city, violent crime. City Commission doesn't seem to be too concerned about addressing that. Matter of fact, we just had a discussion, a rebuttal from Mayor Poe, stating that we're investing in our community. Well, clearly you defunded the Joint Mediation Unit, which is instrumental in supporting and apprehending violent criminals. So, really, are you investing in our community, or are you just investing in, those agenda items that you seem to support, like renters' rights and the socialist agenda that you want to adopt? But, I want to get back to the point of the budget. I don't really support the budget because I don't think the commission has made any meaningful reductions to cutting the budget. You force cuts on others, but you don't show the same level of concern. The Alachua County Commission adopted a rollback rate, showed fiscal responsibility. The Water Management District cut its rates. The Library Board has cut its rates. The School Board cut its rates. But lo and behold, the outlier of this whole process is the mayor and the Gainesville City Commission, who refused to cut their budget and adopt a rollback rate for property taxes. You're the outlier, Mayor Poe. You can sit there and spin it any way you want to spin it. But the truth of the matter is, the Alachua County Commission has the same political party as you guys, and they showed some fiscal responsibility, unlike you guys. And I think the public deserves to know why. I think the public should be concerned. I mean, I think that we need to prioritize public safety, and we need to live within our means. I think that's a fundamental difference between, myself and other fiscally responsible taxpayers in the Gainesville City Commission. You guys just want to spend, travel on the taxpayer dime, and not give up anything, and live within your means. You guys think you're special. You get elected and you think you're special, and that everyone should just, embrace everything you say. And I don't think that's good governance. I think it's poor governance. I think it reflects negatively upon the commission, your failed policies. I mean, the other night you adopted this runner's rights over the objection of many people acknowledging, and even the Gainesville Sun printed this. They quoted me, they quoted someone else, and they acknowledged the fact that you admitted that enacting that policy would displace renters, and that there would have to be a fund created at taxpayer expense to provide financial assistance to people that were going to be displaced by the ordinance that you were going to enact. And that's just a textbook example of failed policy before policy is even adopted, before you even adopted the ordinance. So you need to get your fiscal house in order. Hopefully the state audit will shed some light on that.
Mr. Scott, that's your 3 minutes.
City commission meeting. Okay, with every city commission meeting, you hire another consultant and spend more money. That's unsustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brian O'Brien, followed by Alfredo Morales. Mr. O'Brien, you're up.
Yes, sir. Adam, which item are we on?
This time we were discussing fiscal general government financial and operating plans for fiscal year 2020 and 2021.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to address this item to set the record straight. There's been a lot of misinformation passed out from dais tonight, and all you have to do is refer to the budget and see that the city of Gainesville is spending $94 million in interest in the proposed budget for next year to pay for the excessive debt that they have incurred as a result of their irresponsible decisions, bad contracts, wasteful spending, so on and so forth. It's absolutely incomprehensible to any person living in this city why we are shipping the majority of our resources out to Wall Street. The spending is the problem. Communities across the nation, Mr. Poe, are all seeking to take care of their community members on less money this year. You're in the middle of a COVID crisis. University towns are being hit hard. There will be a reduction in your income going forward until this is over. This is the time to be giving out some furloughs, making cuts, and saving money. It's pretty obvious from the next item you have on the agenda that you're reserving the right to raise people's rates at any time during the year by letting Mr. Feldman unilaterally change the rates. And you won't get away with this. The state is very interested in your shenanigans and your wasteful spending. And I must say, Mrs. Martinez was right on the money. I did some fact checking, and indeed, your electric rates are 61% higher than Tampa. They're 34% higher than Lakeland. And when somebody like Mr. Scott, who is very knowledgeable, gets on and talks to you about water conservation, nobody even reacts. I mean,
Brian,
these are the problems that we should be working on, and I would appreciate you getting your head out of the sand and acknowledging reality.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Alfredo Morales, followed by Dmitry Podobreyev. Mr. Morales.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm calling as a member of the Gainesville Dream Defenders Scottsville Squad, and I kind of want to talk about like the reason why we've been calling every time, being so passionate. And really, like, the reason we're so passionate about this budget fight is because we've seen firsthand like what the actual effects of this budget are, particularly where it fails. And we learned it through the work that we've done just as recently as COVID, when we started collaborating with other organizations to free people from the Alachua County Jail and provide material support and care to transform the conditions that led to their arrest in the first place. We also work alongside 3 grocery stores to provide weeks worth of food to over 300 families across the city. And these are families that were left out of any kind of government aid by the city, county, state, or federal level. I mean, if like that wasn't enough for us to see what these cracks in the budget look like, we also held 2 different events to provide space for community members to express their views, their frustrations, and how they feel about the city budget in general. Dream Defenders has also taken to the streets to support community leaders and local initiatives. We marched and provided supplies at the March for Our Freedom on May 30th. On June 13th, we marched through Gainesville to highlight several issues in this community. And then on June 18th, we again took to the streets and supported the Black Communities Matter March. I say this because I want to make it clear that the work that we do is in service of community members and members of this community. And we've seen how this budget actually affects a lot of the people who can't make these meetings and can't get engaged with the budget as much as they should be able to. We hope in the future you will listen to the people this budget leaves behind and work toward a clear and more democratic budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Dmitry Podobreyev, followed by Karine Duville. And I think after that, we have at least 1 or 2 other callers, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Podobreyev?
Hi, my name is Dmitry. Yes, hello, my name is Dmitry. I'm also with the Dream Defenders. Over this past year, especially in the recent months, a lot of people, including us and Dream Defenders, have had a lot to say about the city government. I'm sure that you've all noticed that as the public comment periods have been getting really long at some meetings, going on for hours and hours. But that's actually a great thing. I mean, people are getting engaged with the local issues, and it can only help strengthen our democracy. Unfortunately, when it comes to the budgeting process, this kind of engagement just isn't enough. What we need is a model of participatory budgeting. how the city spends the money of its residents is a central issue, but public participation in those decisions is much more limited than it could be. The process is technical and inaccessible, and timely information is hard to keep track of. While the current year's finished budget is actually pretty well illustrated on a website, and there's a lot of graphs and numbers, the budget, which is actually up for discussion, isn't so easy to find. For a regular person, it feels like this isn't a process they can really provide their input on. And for the people that feel like they can anyway, their only way is basically these 3 minutes over the phone at one of these meetings. And that's a shame, because we've seen the absolute passion that people have for their community. We held a People's Budget Forum, and we sent out a survey to find out what Gainesville's priorities are. We've had so many conversations with such a broad section of the city, and every single person has some way that the city can improve their life and their community. And we've been trying to connect them with the structures of the city so they can find a way to have their priorities met, to have their housing needs met, the needs of their children met, and the needs for their access to healthy, nutritious food met wherever they live in the city. But like I said earlier, those structures just don't exist in that capacity right now. And we're just a community organization. The city has much better means to get people involved in this process. The people of the city should have control over as many public dollars as possible, as directly as possible. And this can be done in many ways. And the details aren't something to talk about in these 3 minutes. But for fiscal year 2022, the Commission should change the budgeting process to a participatory model. Please democratize the budget, move to participatory budgeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Corinne Duville, followed by Debbie Martinez. Ms. Duville?
Hello. Thank you so much for transferring over to me. My name is Corinne. I'm with the Godsville Green Defenders in Gainesville, Florida. I'm so happy to be speaking in front of you all today about this city budget hearing and about how our dollars are being allocated within the city. I feel like it's very evident from my work with Dream Defenders that there are multiple facets within our community that aren't being tended to the way that they should be. I feel like we pour in too much money into policing and too much money into defending harmful practices rather than trying to rewrite them altogether. I would really like to see the commissioners oncoming and even in now really push for more expansive ideas that we have not seen before, things that actually challenge the systems that are in place in order to push it to a place of greater progress. Because I feel like that is sincerely what we've been lacking for so long. I've heard mention of participatory budgeting, which I think is extremely necessary, especially because having gone through the budget myself to try and comb through and understand it, it's practically unintelligible for students or for the everyday person. And I'm someone with a finance degree. So that in and of itself shows how inaccessible this information is being made to others, and also how little agency people feel over the way that their representatives are making decisions on their behalf. These are all things that I feel like directly affect the positions that you all hold, but also it affects the way that the community interacts with one another. I feel like there's definitely this sense of fear, this sense of pain, and this sense of trauma that reverberates throughout this community because so much of our needs, so much of our resources aren't being provided. So with the Dream Defenders, although I'm so grateful for the mutual aid resources that they have provided and they have established in this community, I would like to see the city really try to reallocate these funds towards more programs and more community leaders who are really doing the work to make transformative actions take place in our community. Finally, I would just like to say that in the act of being up here and speaking during these meetings, I've noticed how the Dream Defenders can sometimes be seen as ill intent, but every single one of us pour hours and hours of labor into talking directly to community members. And this is out of the graciousness of our own hearts. This is out of the graciousness of our own time. And it's because we really do believe in the people in this community. And we believe in the power and the transformation that we can create. Thank you. Okay.
That's your 3 minutes. I'm sorry. Debbie Martinez, are you still out there?
Yes, thank you so much. I first want to say I really appreciate how engaged the Dream Defenders are when it comes to Black Lives Matter. However, Mrs. Rosa Williams and Miss Doris Edwards are absolutely right in what they've been saying over the past couple of months. Gainesville is not Minneapolis. And I do not support your budget because you have failed to prioritize your spending. I heard you say, Mr. Poe, that we have to spend this money because we're starting new programs that all the people want. Well, sometimes you can't give people everything they want. You have to give people what they need first, starting with public safety. I mean, just because your kids want to have ice cream for breakfast, you give it to them? Just because you've got some high school kids that want to go binge drink in the bars downtown with college students, you're going to let them go do it? I mean, that's just irresponsible. I mean, people are suffering. You heard what Mr. Scott had to say. You heard what Mr. Brian O'Brien had to say. $84 million in interest alone on all the debt you've already accumulated. These citizens are not coming to the meetings. Well, now we're virtual, but citizens, ever since you came onto the commission in 2009, Mr. Poe, have been coming to help you and the commission not get into more bad contracts, to help you make good decisions. But because they're not agreeing with spending all this money on things we don't need, you want to trash them and work on changing the rules to the commission to make sure that they can't speak. That's the problem. You keep raising all these fees, taxes, rates to make it nearly impossible for struggling families and the poor to live here. You should be cutting rates and cutting your spending to help people. But you want to have merit badges like, you know, you're this hero. You're giving all the Dream Defenders everything they want. Well, that's not going to help anything when the poor people are all at Grace Marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. We have two more callers, I believe. Keith Lean, you're up, and then Kiara Lauren, I'll check in with you to make sure that we're talking about this issue. Ms. Lean, you are up and you have 3 minutes.
I'm with another person, so she's going to speak first, and then I'm going to speak.
Go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
Is that good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, she's going to introduce herself, so the 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is George Stevens, and I would like to speak out about the homeless people. I feel as though that Gainesville, city of Gainesville should do more than what they're doing for homeless people. I feel like that we are suffering. We are not getting the assistance and the support that we are supposed to be getting. They're using the money towards other things instead of helping us, and I feel like that if they start helping homeless people, that it would bring down the population. I'm going to use myself as an example. About a month and a half ago, everything that I own was taken from me by the city of Gainesville and Gainesville Police Department. Yes, I did get donations, but it is a struggle because money is not easy to come by. And then they are not donating clothes. If they was donating clothes to the homeless people, providing that type of help for us, I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through now. And also, I'm going through a battle with cancer. I'm a cancer survivor, so it's like a whole lot of stress on me, you know what I mean? And we're going through a lot, you feel me? And it's sad that the city and this county look at homeless people as an outcast. We are human, we are somebody. We just going through some hard times in our life. And I think that they should do more for us and treat us like humans, because we are humans. Because we are homeless, that don't mean that we are nobody, because we are somebody. We do have feelings. And I think that they should give us more support than what they're giving us, and stop looking at us as somebody beneath them. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dora.
Ms. Laura.
I'm going
Ms.
to speak.
Ms. Kaith, you're up, and you have 3 minutes as well. Ms. Kaith?
Hi, my name is Kathleen. I'm a Dream Defender. I'm a longtime Dream Defender, and I've been living in Gainesville for 3 years, and I've been seeing all of the effects of everything that has gotten more amplified because of the pandemic and the virus. I've seen our community just basically be more put out on the streets, things being more difficult. Like Dora was just mentioning, it's harder to get food right now. It's harder to get all of these resources that should be accessible to all people, no matter what the conditions of their lives are. And I just want to speak on behalf of Dream Defenders and that our priority is the community. Our priority is our people. And our people ranges from everyone from the people who are on the streets to the students who are in their dorms. Like, all of these people need to be taken care of. And it seems like the city has private interests, and that's something that we want to go away from. Everything that has happened recently with the Governor DeSantis threatening that if we defund the police in any municipality, that we will be defunded as a municipality is a threat. Just showing how powerful this campaign has been to really put care and funding into our community. And I just want to reiterate again and again that nothing is about taking from anybody. We want to put the money and the resources where they truthfully belong, which is in the hands of the people who pay their taxes, of the people who participate, of the people who are deserving, and that means all of us. I just want to be rooted in our values and letting you all know that we are here because of the people, and we will continue to stand by our people because this work is not over. This budget meeting is final today, but the work continues, and we are going to keep on protecting our people and doing what is absolutely necessary to make sure that they have what they need, because the conditions of our time is not okay, and it should have never been acceptable and should have never been tolerated, the displacement that we have seen through the years and years here in the city of Gainesville. This is just not the way we're meant to be living. And I want to let everyone know that Dream Defenders is about building community, and it's not about taking anything from what exists. It's about building a new structure, a new way of being, so we can get everybody taken care of, because everyone is deserving of having their human rights met and their basic necessities met. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lean. And our last caller, Ms. Kira Lauren. We are on the topic of general government financial and operating plans for the coming year. Is this the issue that you wanted to speak to this evening?
Yes.
Go ahead. You have about 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Kiara. I'm a member of Dream Defenders as well as a community member here in Gainesville. I've been living here for 3 years now. And to that, kind of also reiterate what Caitlin has been saying, is to just really refocus putting this money back into the hands of our community members. I feel like in the past few weeks, a lot of people really misinterpreted our message as Dream Defenders of defunding the police and not understanding exactly what we mean by that. And what we mean is taking the additional money that we're funding GPD with and putting that back into the hands of our community and really centering love and empathy and compassion for the people that really need it most, especially at this time. And this doesn't mean that we're taking money away from America House. If anything, we need more money put into these programs in Gainesville altogether. And not only that, but taking the extra additional funding and actually creating a department for our youth and really centering their voices and their needs. At this time, a lot of us really view defunding the police as a way of taking away our safety, but really step back and define what safety means to you and what safety means to our community. A lot of us really want to have a home to go back to have food on our plates, to have like our kids attending school in the most safe way as possible and have them having a great education and flourishing in life. But if we're taking all that money and putting it into GPD, how can we actually fund the things that we need in this community? How can we actually fund education, youth programs, affordable housing, mental health, and et cetera? See, these aren't things that we want. These are things that we need. And these are things that we need to center and really believe that it can happen in Gainesville. I see people from Black, white, brown, every race possible, and we're all going through the same thing in most cases, and different things in all cases. but what we really need to center on is our needs at the moment, and these needs are not being met. But I do believe that the city commissioners and the mayor can really prioritize the needs of Gainesville. So I ask you to think about where you're going to put the additional funding to, and really think about how can we really prioritize safety. And safety isn't protection of property, it's the protection of the person and protection of their livelihoods in the future. So that means funding education, funding affordable housing for our houseless folks, and funding our Black community members who are in the worst state of anything in this global pandemic. So please just be considerate, and I thank you for listening to me. Yes, have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Lauren. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, that is the last of our speakers on this issue.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Thank you, callers, for calling in. Just a couple quick notes. First of all, the woman, I didn't catch her name, but she spoke right before Kathleen, speaking about homeless services. The city is increasing its funding for homeless services by a little over $500,000 for this coming fiscal year. And so that definitely has been something that we've prioritized. And then Mr. O'Brien indicated that the city was spending $94 million a year on interest for debt alone. The actual number, and this includes after the OPEB bonds that we just issued, we're spending $22 million a year in total for debt service. That's interest and principal combined. So I'm not sure where Mr. O'Brien got that number from, but it was not reflective of the true amount of debt service, including principal and interest, including the bonds that we just issued. With that, Madam Clerk, we will go to a vote.
Commissioner Hayes Santos.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Sacco.
Aye.
Mayor Poe.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Next item, please. I think, Ms. Fiore, if you want to get your presentation, the second part of the presentation ready while the clerk reads this into the record.
Absolutely. Our next item is 200356, General Fund Reserve Policy, with the recommendation that the commission hear presentations from staff and take action as appropriate.
Haven't eaten yet, right?
Okay, Ms. Fiore, welcome.
Thank you. Before I start, Lee, was there anything you wanted to say prior?
Yes, I'm sorry. So as we discussed with the commission early on back in July, it was our intent to look at the general fund reserve policy to make it more in tune with what other governmental entities around the country treat as a best practice, and that is to have 2 months of operating in our general fund.
Lee, can you just speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry, having 2 months of operating in our general fund reserves. What we've also done here is combined our emergency reserve, increased the level of our emergency reserve, combined it in with our general fund reserve, and walk through different times that money has to be reallocated to reserves if it's spent. And Karen will walk you through the policy, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. There's also the full policy in your backup is provided. So as the manager has, oh, my screen is freezing. Okay, our current general fund policy is at 10% of the adopted general fund revenue budget. And the reserve can be used for budget fluctuations or any type of emergencies, but it cannot be used to solve any recurring revenue shortfalls. So again, it's 10% of the revenue budget for the general fund, excluding any one-time appropriations from fund balance. The current general fund policy states that if we fall below the 10%, but less than 5%, that we're required to budget that in full for the following year. If we fall greater than 5%, then we'll come up with a 3-year plan to bring the policy back up to the reserve back up to the 10%. Brains out of her a couple people on the line here with us. And then we look at the policy every 5 years, which actually we fell in line. This year was the 5-year mark. Our current policy, our projected 9/30/2020 projected reserve will be at a little bit over $7.5 million. So again, 10% of the revenue after any projected use of the fund balance during the year leaves us at around 7.5 million in excess of the 10%. The new policy that we're proposing, as Lee mentioned, there's 2 components. The emergency reserve. We will budget 0.15% of the taxable value of the property of the city on January 1st. The second part will budget 2 months worth of expenditures for the city, which is roughly 16.7%, and a maximum of 3 months, which will bring you up to the 25% mark. Anything above the 25% mark, the maximum, could be used for unassigned one-time expenditures. So the spending authority on our new policy would give the city manager the authority to spend a maximum of 20% of the general fund reserve, of course, with proper documentation. The emergency reserve, again, would be 0.15% of the total taxable value at January 1st. If it falls below, as mentioned earlier, we would have to budget that in that year. And same with the general fund, anything above 5%, we would make a 3-year plan. So this is very similar to our current policy. During the budget cycle, sorry, didn't mean to read this slide, but anything that needs to be budgeted above, let me try again. If we are not at the reserve policy, again, it will be budgeted during that fiscal year, up to 5%, and anything over would be a 3-year period. Anything above the 25% mark, again, can be used for one-time expenditures. I think I got everything on that slide. Here's an example of what the new proposed general fund reserve policy would look like. At the bottom in red there, you see the emergency fund level at 0.15% of the taxable value on January 1st would be about $11.3 million. To get us up to the 2 months worth of expenditures for the city at the 16.7% mark, you would be at $23 million. And you can see based on our previous example, we're at about $26 million expected fund balance. And then your maximum at 25% would be at the $34 million. So anything above that mark is what could be used for one-time expenditures. And Lee, you probably want to hit on a few items that I probably missed here.
So yeah, Karen, if you can just go back, yeah, that slide. So basically, let me just walk through the color code. So anything, if our fund balance ever got into the green, okay, we would be obligated to come back and tell the commission that you should spend that on one-time allocations, such as the central receiving facility commitment or specific capital projects that are related to the general government side. The yellow represents the sweet spot where we want to be in terms of what our fund balance levels are. So we want to be somewhere between that orange area and the green area. And under this policy, based upon where we are closed on September 30th, 2019, that's where we would be. If we drop into the orange area, that would require us to submit to the commission a 3-year plan to get back into the yellow area. If we drop into the red, okay, then the following fiscal year, we have to allocate the funds necessary to get back into the yellow. So that means that we might have to make budget cuts, cut services, raise revenue, or do something to get back into that yellow area. So this gives us a sufficient cushion to deal with any type of natural disaster, pandemic type emergency. I would have the authority under this policy, as I do now, to have certain emergency expenditures. We set those at 20% of that 23 million. So roughly $4.6 million would be the spending authority under a state of emergency that would be declared pursuant to our code and pursuant to the state. And that's basically how the policy works. So we'd be happy to take any questions that the commission has.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hayes Santos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question on how this funding policy relates to between the 23 million and the 34.45 million, and I guess the yellow range, if that's the right color. Would this policy restrict the commission from wanting to spend that on one-time funding, or if like there's a budgetary need and we want to spend something on that, would this policy restrict the commission from doing that?
No, absolutely not. You could spend. Now, our recommendation would be never to get into the orange.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
At that point, but certainly you would have the latitude to keep within the yellow. I mean, you could spend into the orange. We wouldn't recommend it. But basically, when you get to the green, that's where we tell you you should spend.
Okay.
Fund balance.
So it's more, okay, that's a kind of, in essence, a mandatory on us to do something. And then the yellow is kind of at the commission's leisure. If they feel that there is a decision or something needs to be funded, this policy would not kind of preclude it for them, unless we started getting to the orange and we were spending money on things that weren't emergency kind of things.
Correct. And the green basically prevents us from just accumulating cash for no purpose.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, the slide that we're looking at right now, is that a combination, an example of a combination of the general fund and the emergency fund combined?
Yes. So right now we have money that's allocated, and we call it an emergency fund. It's basically a contingency fund. And so this would allow a little higher level to be spent in times of an emergency than what we're currently budgeting right now. I think we have roughly $2 million a year that we put aside for an emergency. This would move it up to about 4.6 million.
So the proposal is to do away with the emergency fund, combine it with the general fund, and we're just going to call it general fund.
It's just fund balance. I mean, that's really what
fund balance.
Yeah, that's really what it is now for all practical purposes.
How would that impact any, if we were to apply for any grant from emergency, from federal governments or anything like that, would that have impact on receiving those money as an emergency type source?
No impact at all.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Commissioner Hayes Santos, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's our most recent fund balance that you all have? I mean, you know, something, do we have like last quarter or something like that?
So,
or 2 quarters ago? Or?
So as of September 30th of 19, it's at 26. Now we've spent some.
Yeah, I mean, that's a year ago. So yeah, wondering more.
So we've spent some. That number is probably about 20 million right now, but we haven't received our allocation of the CARES money yet, which would offset that, or the allocation from FEMA under the Stafford Act. So that number, and right now when we look at that 20 million number, that basically is assumptions that we're going to just spend our budget, which we never do anyway. So I'm anticipating that when we do close our books, we will be back in that yellow area based upon our past trends.
I'd like to move that we accept the general fund reserve policy.
Okay, I can't see anybody. Can somebody audio unmute and second that, please?
Ward.
I think that was, I don't know who said it first. Well, I think it was Commissioner Ward that seconded. Commissioner Simmons, back to you.
Can we go back to that presentation? And I think it was slide 15 I had a question about. No, go back one more. It could have been 8. One more. Oh no. Okay. Let's see. Go to 10. I had a question, Ms. Spirit, when you were doing the presentation, you kind of stumbled on one of these slides, kind of lost me. Do you remember which slide that was you stumbled on?
Yeah, I think I stumbled on a few, but it was this one.
This one, yeah. Can you explain it to me without stumbling, if you would?
Yeah, I'll try. Maybe Lee might need to. He was more graceful in explaining it. So I was basically trying to say that the emergency reserve is going to be calculated based on the total value of property tax on January 1st for the city of Gainesville. So we will receive that number, and 0.15% of that number is what will become the emergency reserve requirement. And then the general fund reserve requirement, I was trying to say here that if we fall below the required 16.7%, which is 2 months worth of expenditures for the city, if it's 5% or less, we're going to have to budget that in its entirety for that next budget year. And anything above the 5%, we would make a 3-year plan to replenish those reserves.
Okay, so the 1.5% for the emergency reserve, that's the number that is that what? Why 1.5%? Why did we choose that?
It's 0.15%, and Lee can talk to that.
So your current reserve, emergency reserve policy is 0.02.
Okay.
We're saying that, from a best practice, that ought to be at least 0.15% of the value of all the property that can be taxed within the city. And that number is basically, looking at trying to get in the $10 to $12 million range, which if, Karen, if you can go to the colored slide, you'll see that, that based upon the taxable value of January 1st, 2020, 0.15% gets us to at $11.3 million as being the ultimate minimum. We should never go below fund balance. So if we dropped into that red, that's where I don't sleep well at night, because we're at critical mass at that point.
Okay, so that number would be the minimum, the minimum that you feel comfortable going.
Right. If we ever drop below that, that's where we've got to start immediately cutting services, looking at revenue augmentation, laying people off, furloughs, whatever it would take to get that number back to that 11.3 million at that point.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. If we could pull the presentation down again, please. All right. Thank you. I want to thank the finance staff and city manager for bringing this to us and putting it together. It wasn't that long ago where we had a pretty difficult conversation amongst the commission about whether we should have a 10 or 12% reserve policy. And I mean, there were some of us the higher reserve policy just to put us in a more stable position, especially, as we started seeing increased frequency of hurricanes and, other threats. That modest increase did not prevail back then. And so it makes me very appreciative that it seems to be the prevailing wisdom to go up to essentially a 2-month reserve with a very solid portion of that for emergency reserve. It seems more and more likely that every year we will have some sort of unbudgeted, unexpected event that we'll have to deal with. And this policy will make sure that we can continue with normal city services while also addressing those temporary emergency needs. And so, at the end of this, we've approved our budgets for GRU in the city. We've approved our tax rates and utility rates without any increasing our reserve policy to put us in a much more sustainable position. And our bond rating, our AA- bond rating, was just revalidated with a stable outlook after issuing our pension obligation bonds. And so any comment that we're somehow on a sinking ship, or the city's on the verge of bankruptcy, or we're not operating in a financially sustainable way is simply contrary to the facts. As you can see, without increasing rates or taxes, but while strengthening our reserves, we've maintained a very stable outlook and have actually increased provision of social services like mental health, like public health, like homeless services, like funding for the central receiving facility. And so, I think this is something that took a lot of work, and it didn't happen overnight. But I want to thank the 6 of you and the many staff hours that went into getting us to this place. Our residents should feel, very good about where their city is and how prepared we are to make sure that we continue to serve them regardless of any emergency circumstances. Commissioner Simmons?
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to thank the staff too for working on this. I think this is extremely important. And I'm so thankful that this was a focus. So thank you, staff, for taking this initiative and bringing it to the commission.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Adam, I'll turn it back to you for public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one public comment. Mr. Brian O'Brien, you are on and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I would like to just address the citizens of Gainesville to make them aware that the general fund reserve policy that was just approved essentially is a trigger which allows Mr. Feldman to raise your taxes again should he overspend by $3 million, which is the buffer at this time. Given the history of our mayor and council, that won't take them 1 week to blow through that amount of money. Mr. Poe tried to refute a comment earlier, and I'm looking at the GRU budget resolution for fiscal year 21. It's number 200354. You can find it in this agenda. If you go to exhibit number 1, it talks about the debt service related to GRU, which is a unit of the city of Gainesville. And you can see there clearly, 2/3 of the way down the page, that the debt service alone for GRU is $94,212,964. Now, I appreciate Mr. Poe informing me that the city has another $22 million in what he describes, which I'll have to check, as interest and principal for the city. So you're well in excess of $110 million a year in money that's being shipped off to Wall Street for the excessive spending. there's a sure way to have enough cash reserves, sir, and that is to spend less money. All that double talk you just gave the citizens is shameful, and I am just hopeful that the auditor will come down here and march you out in an orange jumpsuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. And we do have one more. Ms. Debbie Martinez, you have 3 minutes and your time begins now.
Yes, I'll be brief. The more spending, the more regressive policies for the poor. It's like you're speaking out of 2 sides of your mouth, Mayor Poe. You say you care about the poor, but you keep spending more. So you have to have these regressive policies, higher utility bills on the backs of the poor, which ends to more poverty and more homelessness. But Mr. Poe, you can deny this all you want, but the numbers don't lie. The Florida Municipal Electric Association, their latest report on residential electric rates are clear. Gainesville GRU 123.13, Lakeland Electric 92.77, Tampa Electric 76.85. So yes, GRU's residential electric rates for 1,000 kWh of electricity are $30.36 higher than Lakeland electric rates and $46.28 higher than Tampa electric rates. And earlier this evening, Mr. Brian O'Brien called you out, Mr. Poe. High utility rates are regressive. That's not helping poor people. It hurts lower income people the most. It's regressive. So, Mr. Poe, you may think you deserve an A+ for the way you've been handling regressive policies on the poor, but like Dr. Anthony Fauci says, numbers don't lie. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. And with that, Mr. Mayor, we do not have any more public comment.
Okay, thank you. So when Mr. O'Brien brought up the 94 million figure, we were discussing the city general government budget. And so it was my assumption he was referring to the debt service of the general government. He did not mention GRU. So yes, GRU is separate. GRU does have a higher debt service, which is typical of utilities. They carry a high debt service load because of the massive capital investment required to run a utility. But the general government is much lower. And there was one other. I very much want to correct the notion that a city manager can raise taxes without consent or approval of the commission. That is absolutely not the case. The only body that can increase taxes is the city commission through a public vote. And so this is definitely not any sort of authorization, nor would that authorization be legal if we were to try to give it to the city manager. So that is something that I wanted to make sure we clarified. And with that, Commission, I want to thank you for all of the incredibly hard work that we've done over the course of the past year, especially most of which has been done under the pressures of the pandemic. I really do appreciate it and want to thank staff as well for everything that you've done to get us to this point. We have a few more days to enjoy this current fiscal year, and then we'll be starting fresh, and shortly after that, starting our discussions about our budget for next year. So no rest for the weary. With that, Madam Clerk, if you'd please turn to a vote of the commission.
Okay, Commissioner Hay Santos.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Ariola.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Sacco.
Aye.
And Mayor Poe.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Mr. Feldman?
I just want to thank our entire finance and budget team and all the departments that worked hard on behalf of our neighbors to put this budget together. It was my first endeavor, and I got a chance to really see how we're thinking strategically about our resources. So I just wanted to thank them publicly.
Thank you, Mr. Feldman. And again, thank you all. I appreciate the work that you do tremendously. Thank you to all of our neighbors for calling in and participating. And I will say for folks talking about a participatory budget process, I hope they go and watch the meeting and the discussion we had earlier this afternoon, because that's a big part of what our community engagement plan attempts to get at, not just with budgeting, but a more participatory process in all major strategic decision making. And so we hear you, we agree with you, and we are going to be working very hard between now and throughout the course of the coming year to find ways to make that happen. And we know that it will add value to our budget. It'll add value to our ability to govern. It'll add value to all of our neighbors. So hopefully you can go back and watch that. If you don't, just realize that it's something that we are very much working on, have been working on, and we'll, hopefully start seeing the fruits of that labor coming soon. So with that, I wish you all good health, stay well, and we will see you all at our joint meeting with the County Commission on September 30th. We are adjourned.